Howdy team. Today we're going to get started on preparing for the Excel Microsoft Office Specialist Certification exam. There's actually 2 Excel exams. This first section will cover the 5 domains that Microsoft suggests you cover. There they are, 5. The 5 domains that you need to cover to be prepared to take that first initial Excel exam. Again, that's the 77727 exam. So we're going to start that first domain. There are 4 parts. Let's get started. The 4 components of the first domain are 1.11 to create a new workbook. So we're going to start there and we're going to continue and do them all. Let's get started. I'm going to bring up my Excel. Now I happen to have my icons in a toggle down here on the Windows taskbar. You could have them on your desktop or you could search for them. We, in the last video, talked about how you can get Office 365 if you're a university or high school student. When we open Excel, the first thing we see is the Backstage View. The Backstage View allows us to search for templates and other components that Microsoft Office and Excel have. We're going to choose a blank workbook today because our first challenge was to create a workbook. Now, let's talk specifically about the difference between workbook and worksheet. A workbook is your Excel. When you've opened it, I'm going to go ahead and go File. I'm going to Save As. And I'm today going to save to my desktop. You may need to save to a hard drive, to a pen drive, depending on where you're at. I am going to call this Domain 1, and this is 1.1, creating a workbook. Okay? You, for your instructor, may need to save things with your first and last name. And I'm going to go ahead and go save. And now I know that has been saved with a name because up here at the top it says Domain 1.1 creating a workbook. So this workbook has been created. And down here where it says Sheet 1, I'm going to right click that and click Rename. That is Worksheet. That is a piece of paper inside my workbook. I'm going to call that number 1, and I want you to understand that there are lots, with this little plus right here, of worksheets you can keep adding over and over again to your workbook. So understanding the difference between workbook is your whole Excel that you opened and saved to your computer, and inside that workbook are worksheets. I can create and relate these worksheets together. So now you know what it is to create a workbook and have worksheets inside of Excel. Now we're going to do 1.1.2, import data from a delimited text file. Don't get confused about the word delimited text file. That just means that instead of spaces, we've used either tabs or commas or colons to separate values. This will bring the information into Excel spaced out. So let's give that one a try. We're going to open Excel. We're going to go ahead to our Worksheet 1. We're in the Workbook Domain 1. But this time, we're going to call it File, Save As. And this time, we're going to call it 1.12. And importing a delimited file. So the first thing I want to do is show you about the delimited file and show you what it looks like. I'm going to open a Word document that I already made, and I just wrote a few simple things. I wrote computer, the things you need for college, textbooks, paper, pen, and pencil. I wrote this originally in Word and saved it as a text file. When I did that, it converted it, Microsoft Office 365 converted it to a notepad. And then I'll go back to our Excel file. We are now in our first worksheet, and we're going to go grab that text delimited file. I've renamed it School Supplies. So let's go to Data. And at Data, we're going to go Get Data. And Get Data, we're going to go From File. Now we know it's not an Excel file. Remember, we made a Word file and it converted it to Notepad for text form. So we're going to click on Text File, and then there it is right there. There's our text document that's a school supply. We double click that, and then Excel asks us, do you want to load this file? Now notice our tab delimiters have already made column headings and column separations. So we have computer, textbook, paper, pen, and pencil. And we go load, and there you have your columns with computer, textbook, paper, pen, and pencil. Way to go. Now we're at Domain 1, Section 113, Add a Worksheet to a Workbook. Our whole file of Excel is our workbook, and we open that and we file saved it as Domain 1, 113, Add Worksheet to Workbook. Down here are our worksheets, and this is Worksheet 1, and I'm going to hit a plus, and it gave me a second sheet. I'm going to right click on that second sheet and go to Rename, and I'm going to rename it Worksheet 2. This is adding a worksheet to a workbook, and you can hit this plus as many times as you want to add more worksheets. You can right click and rename any of these worksheets your choice of title. They can also be colored, and we'll do that in another lesson. Now we're to our subpart of the last part of the Domain 1, which is 114, Copy and Move a Worksheet. So I've created a little worksheet here of some of the supplies you might need for college. Computer, maybe you want a Mac or a PC or a notebook or a tablet. You know that phone, it's useful in college too. Textbooks, paper supplies, pen supplies, and pencils. So here is our tab of college supplies. And what we want to do is move and copy it. I'm going to right click the tab of college supplies. And if you look up at the fourth selection, it says move or copy. I'm going to click that. And then it says you want to go to the workbook that's titled Domain 1. Yes, we do. But where do we want to place it? Well, we want to move it to the end and create a copy. So right now we have a worksheet inside our workbook called College Supplies. When we move to the end and make a copy, we will have a College Supplies 2. So we click OK, and you can see down here at the bottom is our College Supplies 2, and it automatically opened with the same information. I'm going to go back here and color our information yellow so you can see that even though we chose a different copy of this, here on our copy at the end is not in yellow. It's our original copy with the blue headers and our college supplies. Thanks for working hard with our domains. I believe we have Domain 1 all wrapped up for the first section of 1.11 through 1.14. I look forward to working with you again. Don't forget, do your best.